I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move.
Yeah, I know you had a long, wonderful weekend, but it's time for math class. All right, we're going to start stepping it up now. We are going to start adding and subtracting unlike fractions. Okay, remember the rules in fractions. When you add and subtract fractions, you must have like denominators. So if you do not have like denominators, we have to find equivalent fractions, which we've learned how to do, for each of those fractions or one of the two fractions so that both of them end up with the same denominator. Okay, what does that look like? Well, let's look at this one. One way to do this is called finding the easy common denominator. One way to find the easy common denominator is simply to multiply the two denominators, 3 times 5 and 5 times 3. When you do that, that gives you a new denominator of 15 for each fraction. Okay, what did I do to 3 to make it 15? I multiplied by 5. Multiply the denominators. 3 times 5 is 15, so what I do at the bottom, I must do the top, so 1 times 5 is 5. 1/3 is equal to 5/15. Okay, the 5 I multiplied times 3 to get 15, so 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Now I have 5/15, which is equal to 1/3, plus 6/15, which is equal to 2/5, and now I can add them. 15 is my denominator, 5 plus 6 is 11. That's what we're going to learn how to do. All right, let's try another one of these where we can find easy common denominators. Let's take 1/2 plus 3/7. Okay. Now, I like to write, one of the ways to do it is write them down below, or also you can write them down the space beside, depending on how much space you have. Okay, now to multiply, what I need to do is multiply both the denominators by each other. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 is my easy common denominator. Okay, what did I do to the 2 to get 14? I took 2 times 7. So 2 times 7 is 14, so I take 1 times 7 for the numerator, and 1 times 7 is 7. And 7/14 is equal to 1/2. Now I look at the 3/7. 7 times 2 equals 14, so I take the 3 times 2 to give me 6. 6/14 is equal to 3/7. Now I can add them together. 14 is my denominator. 7 plus 6 is 13. My answer is 13/14. All right, now turn your books to page 207. Now let's put this finding the easy common denominator into practice. At the top, it says, find equivalent fractions for each fraction. To add them, they must have the same denominator. We call this a common denominator, like we've talked about. Show below the number lines how to find the equivalent fractions numerically. So we've got the whole picture here where it's got the fraction, where the first one we're looking at, number 1, is 1/2 plus 1/3. We've got a denominator of 2 and a denominator of 3. The only way to get these is to multiply them to get 6. Okay, 2 times 3 equals 6. So when we look at this, we have a new denominator of 6. The 6 in there and the 6 in there. And 2 times 3 is 6, so 1 times 3 is 3. Multiplying this side by 3 and 3, the 1/2, and multiply the 1/3 by 2 times 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. And then we have, the common denominator here is 6. And when we add these together, we see a total of 5/6 would be the answer. Okay, again, we multiply the two denominators to get the same denominator. All right, now let's look at the next one. You see at the common denominator, we've got 4 again, and 3 is the denominators, and 4 times 3 is 12. We multiply the 4, 1/4 times 3/3, and the 2/3 times 4/4. And we get 3/12 and 8/12. 3/12 and 8/12. And 3 plus 8 equals 11 twelfths. The denominator we did was 12. Alright, now we don't always, there's other ways we can find common denominators sometimes, and that is just finding the lowest common denominator. We're going to now look at the next page. Alright, now what I want you to do is something different. We've not done this before. What I want you to do is I want you to pause this video, go back to Schoology, and I want you to find the video that is titled LCD Lowest Common Denominator. Okay? You're going to have to get out of this video, watch the lowest common denominator video, then you have to come back to this one, fast forward to this point, and then you can move on to the next part. So go back, you have to get out of this video, watch the lowest common denominator video, and then you can come back. Alright, we'll see you in a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to use the book. Turn the book to page 208. I'm going to use those problems, but I'm not going to actually take a picture this time of the pages. I'm just going to use the fractions here. So we're going to start with number 5. And number 5 has the fraction 7/10 plus 1/5. Sometimes when we look, I like to look at one quick clue and see, does the smaller denominator, which in this case is the 5, does the smaller denominator fit into the larger denominator equally? In other words, can I multiply something times the smaller denominator to get the larger denominator as the answer? And in this case, yes, we can. If that's the case, the 7/10 gets to stay the same. We don't have to change that one. My common denominator in this case would be 10. And I need to change 5 1/5 into something over 10. So 5 times 2 equals 10. It's supposed to be an equal sign. So that means I got to multiply 1 times 2, and that equals 2. And now I'm done with this. I've got now 7/10 plus 2/10 equals 9/10. I can make 10 my common denominator. Let's look at number 6. 6, we have 3 11ths plus 1/2. In this case, 2, I cannot multiply 2 times anything to get 11 equally. Okay? And I know that 11 is not an even number, so I know I've got to multiply these two denominators by each other. So 2 times 11 is 22. 22. There's going to be my new fractions. Okay? So 11 times 2, so 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 11, so 1 times 11 is 11. My new fractions are 6/22, 6 over 22 plus 11 over 22. New denominator is 22. 6 plus 11 is 17/22. Okay, that's like the other ones where sometimes you have no choice, but you have to multiply the denominators together to get a common denominator. Number 7, here we have one like the last video you just saw. 1/6 plus 3/4. Okay? Now again, we can take the multiples of 4 and 6 until we get one that's in common. And according to the video, they did it like this. We have 4 and 6. And 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. And we've got a common denominator. Okay? Change these both into 12. 6 times what? Times 2. So 1 times 2 is equal to 2. My new fraction is 2/12. 4 times 3. So then we have 3 times 3 equals 9. And I got my new fractions 2/12 plus 9/12, and that equals 11/12 is my answer. Alright. Now, let's get ready to practice this on our homework. Alright, I'm continuing to use the book, but still I don't want to take a picture of it because I want to work on the problems themselves. But you can have your book open. We're still on page 208. Let's look at number 8. Number 8. It says Tia and Carlos both ordered the same size pizza. Tia ate 9/12 of her pizza. Carlo ate 5/6 of his pizza. Who ate more pizza? Okay, we can use finding a common denominator and changing the fractions to compare fractions, just like we have to do to add and subtract them. The rule is to compare, add, or subtract fractions, you have to have like denominators. So let's look at this. 9/12. Is it greater than or less than 5/6? Okay. Now I look at these two fractions, and 6, the smaller denominator, will fit into 12. 6 times what equals 12? Times 2. So I can change this one to 12. And 5 times 2 is equal to 10. So I have a new fraction for 5/6, and that's 10/12. Which one is larger? 10/12 is larger. So I can say 9/12 is less than 10/12, which means who ate more pizza? 5/6. Carlos ate more pizza. Okay? How do you know? You show your work, and you show that you've changed the fractions and compared them. Okay? We can do the same thing for number 9. We have a spinner broken into, change colors here. We have a spinner broken into fourths, and I've got 1/4 is green. And is that larger or smaller than the other spinner, which is broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 parts, and 2 of them. Now again, the 4 will fit into 12, and 4 times 3 equals 12. So 1 times 3, and that would be 12, would be my new fraction. 1 times 3 is 3. So I got 3/12. This fraction here, 3/12 compared to 2/12, and 3/12 is larger, meaning 1/4 is larger. All right, go ahead and do number 10 and 11. We'll come back on the next page, and I'll give you the answers for those. All right, so we have number 10. Number 10 is East Bridge is 3/5 of a mile long, West Bridge is 7/10 mile long. Which bridge is shorter, and how much shorter? So this one we have to compare them and then subtract them. Well, again, I can find common denominators. 10 is a common denominator, so I can make them both 10 times 2 times 2 is 6. So 6/10 is less than. So the East Bridge, the 3/5 bridge, is shorter. How much shorter? Well, I take 7/10. 7/10 minus 6/10 equals 1/10. 1/10 of a mile shorter. Okay? And number 11, we have a box A, which contains 14 marbles, 8 of them are black. Box B, 21 marbles. Separate these two problems here. Box B has 21 marbles, and 10 of them are black. If you had only one chance to draw a black marble, which one would you choose from? You'd want to choose the one that has the greater probability, or the more black marbles. Not more total, but the more out of how many are in there. So here we have to find the lowest common denominator. We have 14 and 21, and we have to compare them. Okay, so we take our 14 and our 21. We're going to do multiples of 14. 14 times 2 is 28. 21 times 2 is 42. 14 times 3 would be the same as 7 times 6, which is 42. And bingo, we have 42, and 42 is our common denominator. So we've got to change both of these to 42. 42. 14 times 3, so 8 times 3 is 24. 21 times 2, so 10 times 2 is 20. So the larger probability is box A, with 24 out of 42 possible, with the chances compared to 20 out of 42. Okay, tonight for homework. And in class, I'd like you to start this. Homework and remembering. 5-14. Again, we're now getting to the point where we need to find a common denominator. We have different denominators. You cannot add and subtract fractions unless they have like denominators. Like denominators and common denominators are the same thing. Find common denominator, change both fractions to equivalent fractions, then you can add or subtract. Homework remembering 5-14. Good luck. And may the force be with you.